Hello everybody, I am Esni. Welcome to our English lesson. Today I am going to discuss about passive voice and it is the materials for grade 9 junior high school for second semester. In this section we are going to talk about active and passive voice and we are going to find out what is the difference between active and passive voice and how do we change from active voice into passive voice. Now take a look at of these two sentences. The first sentence, I eat dinner, and the second sentence is my bag was stolen. In the first sentence, I eat dinner, there is a subject of this sentence. The subject is I, and then followed by the verb or the action, in this case is eat, and also dinner as an object of this sentence. I eat dinner. Here, the subject of this sentence did the action. Who did the action? I did the action. Who ate the dinner? I did. Okay, so in this first sentence, it is already known that the subject is the doer of the action. Now let's see the second one. My bag was stolen. Here we don't know who did the action and we don't know who stole my bag. So when we say my bag was stolen, it is stated that someone has stole my bag and we don't know who did the action. The difference between active voice and passive voice is that the action is performed by subject, and in passive voice, the verb acts on the subject. Pay attention to the sentences. She speaks English. The subject of the sentence is she, and the verb is speaks, and the object of the sentence is English. She speaks English. In this sentence, the subject does the action. In this case is speaks. So when the subject did the action, it refers to active voice. And then let's see the second sentence is English is spoken by her. Here we have subject of the sentence English and then we have to be is and followed by verb 3 or past participle and then followed by object. In sentence English is spoken by her, it means that we focus on the action. Here we have English is spoken. Some of the students ask me, when do we use passive voice? Passive voice is used when the focus of a sentence is on the action. It is not important or not known who or what is performing the action. It means that we don't want to emphasize the doer. For example, a mistake was made. In this sentence, we don't know who did the mistake. So we don't want to emphasize the subject or the doer of the action. We just emphasize the action on the sentence. In our daily spoken, most of our sentences are in active voice, but it is important to use passive voice in some cases or in some situations. And our active sentences can be changed or turned into passive voice. Here is an example. In active voice, the sentence is Michael writes a letter. In this active voice, the subject of the sentence, Michael, did the action. What is the action in this sentence? Yes, writes. Now let's see in passive voice. A letter is written. In the passive voice, the focus of the sentence is a letter is written. So not focus on Michael. Next, let's learn how to change active voice or active sentence into passive voice. The first one, check the subject and object of active sentence. The second, move the object to the beginning of the passive. The third one, identify the verb tense of active sentence. The fourth, conjugate the verb be. The fifth, add the past participle of the main verb after be. And the sixth one is, what do we do with subject of active sentence? Look at to this sentence. In active sentence, the children drink the milk. Okay, the first step is check the subject and object of the active sentence. In active sentence, the subject of the sentence is the children and the object of the sentence is the milk. Okay, the second step, move the object to the beginning of the passive. So the object of this active voice move to the beginning of the passive voice. So in passive voice, the word come first is the milk. The third step is identify the verb tense of active sentence. Since the active sentence is in simple present tense, so in passive voice, to be that we choose is, because, is for singular. Remember that to be in simple presence are, is, am, are. Okay, the fourth is conjugate the verb be. Okay, we already conjugate the verb be here, we use is. And then the fifth, add the past participle of the main verb after be. In active voice, the sentence has a verb. In this case is drink. Because drink is in the first form of the verb, so when we change into passive voice, we should change in past participle. So drink become drunk. So the active voice of the children drink the milk. In passive voice, it becomes the milk is drunk by the children. In changing active voice into passive voice, we have to understand some patterns. In this meeting, we discussed just about 5 tenses. The first one is simple present, the second simple past, the third one is present perfect, the fourth is simple future, and the fifth is present continuous tense. Remember that the pattern in passive voice is subject plus be plus verb 3. In another word, verb 3 refers to past participle. So the first one is simple present. Its pattern is, am, are, as to be, plus verb 3, and for example, is made. The second tense is simple past, which pattern is was, were, plus verb 3, and example is was made. The third tense is present perfect, which is pattern is has, have been plus verb 3, and example is has been made. The fourth is simple future, which is pattern is will be plus verb 3, and example is will be made. And the last one is present continuous tense, which pattern is to be plus verb ing plus verb 3. And remember that to be in present continuous tense are is, am, are. An example of the present continuous tense in passive voice is being made. Now let's practice how to change active voice into passive voice. The first one in simple present tense. In simple present tense, remember that we have to be is, am, are, and the pattern of passive voice is subject plus to be plus verb 3 or past participle. And here we have simple present tense. The first one is Daniela eats cake. In this sentence, the subject is Daniela, and the action or the verb 1 is eat, and the object is cake. When we are going to change active into passive voice, remember that we have to move the object of the active voice to the beginning of the passive voice. So we have cake at the first, and then followed by to be is, because is in simple present and cake is in singular. And then here eat verb 1, we have to change into past participle form, become eaten. So Daniela eats cakes in passive voice, cake is eaten. Next, second sentence, I play football. The passive voice of the sentence becomes football is played by me. Because football is singular, so to be of football is, and past participle of play is played plus ed. And the last sentence in simple present is she helps me. She as subject, helps an verb, and me as an object. In passive voice, this sentence becomes I am helped by her. Okay, I am helped by her. Me in active voice becomes subject in passive voice. So that's why we change me into I. And then since the subject is I, followed by to be am, and then verb help in past participle is helped. So the passive voice is I am helped by her. Now let's see the second tense is simple past tense. Remember that the pattern of passive voice for simple past tense is was or were plus verb 3 or past participle. Let's see for the first sentence. Nicholas sang a song. Nicholas as the subject of the sentence, sang as action or the verb, and a song as an object. When we are going to change active into passive voice, remember that we have to move object of active voice in the beginning of the passive voice. So we have to start passive voice with a song. A song was sung by Nicholas. We choose was as to be of simple past tense because singular subject of song. And then we have verb sang. When we are going to change into passive voice, don't forget to choose past participle form of sang is sung. So the sentence become a song was sung by Nicholas. The second sentence is they ate apples. They as a subject, ate as the verb, in this case is in simple past tense, and then apples are the object of this sentence. Now let's turn into passive voice. We move object apples at the beginning of passive voice. Apples were eaten by them. Apples followed by to be were because apples in plural form. And then let's see the verb ate in the past tense is eaten in past participle. So apples were eaten by them. Now let's see in present perfect tense. In present perfect tense, the pattern is has or have been plus verb 3 or past participle. For example, I have eaten an apple. The subject of the sentence is I, and then have eaten as the verb, and apple is as object. Okay, now move the object of the sentence in the beginning of passive voice, an apple, and then followed by has been eaten. Okay, we choose has because an apple is in singular, and then been eaten. Eaten is the past participle verb in the sentence. So the sentence is an apple has been eaten by me. Next tense is simple future. The pattern of simple future in passive voice is will be plus verb 3. For example, in active voice, Sandy will study math tomorrow. In the sentence, Sandy is as subject, and then will is used in simple future, and study as the verb 1, and math as object, tomorrow adverb of time. When we are going to change in passive voice, don't forget to move object in active voice into passive voice. Math. Math will be studied by Sandy the day after. So math is followed by will and then followed by be. And study in active voice is in the verb 1 form, and when we change into passive voice, we add ed, so the study becomes studied. Math will be studied. Now the last tenses in this meeting is present continuous tense. In present continuous tense, the pattern is to be plus being and then verb 3. For example, Jack is writing a letter. Jack as subject is writing verb, a letter, object. Now let's turn into passive voice. A letter is an object of active voice, so we have to put it first in passive voice. So a letter is being written by Jack. A letter is followed by to be is because it is singular, and then since the pattern is being, so is followed by being, and then writing in past participle is written. So the sentence is a letter is being written by Jack. At the last of this meeting, don't forget to memorize the pattern of subject and object in English. Subject in English are I, you, they, we, she, it, and then object in English are me, you, them, her, him, it. Why do we need to memorize this? Because in changing active voice into passive voice, we have to turn object in active voice into subject in passive voice. For example, she loves me. She as subject, loves verb, me object. And then when we turn it into passive voice, object of active voice, me, should be turned into subject, I. So, please memorize subject and object when we are going to change active voice into passive voice. Thank you for watching this video about passive voice. Hopefully it can help the student to change active voice into passive voice.